Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The exotamine of angel is messenger, and the exotamine of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Evalena Rose. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to us to connect with like minded people. So, thank you so, so much. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Rae, and I'm a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, create your future, and transform your present to expand your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, and take charge of your destiny so you can spread your wings and soar. Now, I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and through Divine Presence, virtual and actual retreats, transformational packages, a 6-week guided meditation series for confidence, workshops, and so much more, you remember why you are here, your spiritual path, and the clarity of the next steps to take. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation of angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Evalena Rose, about the tools, practices, communication skills, and much more to assist you as an empath navigate your relationship with others. Now, Evalena helps people open their hearts and embody their soul essence through MetaTherapy, channeled readings, and energetic healing. Now, she's been in private practice for 45 years, where she has served awakening seekers, especially healers, therapists, and entrepreneurs. Now, Evalena is a deeply versed in trauma recovery and after decades working on her own, and often helps light workers clear their paths to live vibrantly in their intuitive and authentic natures. Now, for 38 years, Evalena has channeled ascended masters known as the Council of 12, working collaboratively with individuals, couples, and groups to live fully in their power and passions. With testimonials such as, I've been working with Evalena for 35 years, both in person and long distance. I found her work to be deep, profound, and life changing. My children have benefited greatly from this work as well. Highly recommend. As a friend once said about her work, if you're ready to fly, Evalena's the one to help you take flight. And the levels of healing I've received in working with Evalena is beyond what I've ever experienced in traditional psychotherapy. And I think the way she channels comes from the purest heart of hearts. Her
Mhm.
shamanic expertise, somatic and therapeutic knowledge, as well as the beings of light who work through her, are powerfully transformative. And I'm so grateful to have found her to help me in my healing process. So, without further delay, hello, Evalena, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hello, I'm happy to be here. Doing
Br-
well.
Brilliant, thank you. So, before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Evelina and I want to be part of this conversation. So, please don't be shy. And Susan, the intuitive empath coach, is already saying hello to us. Hello, Susan. So please don't be shy and join in the conversation with us. So, Evelina, why don't you tell us more about your journey and about the relationship skills for empaths that's so important these days?
I'd love to. It's been a journey of discovery of myself, been a journey of healing a whole lot of trauma from my past, and evolving a desire to live a life that I had to create for myself. So I've been in private practice for 45 years. I tried working for others, it doesn't work very well. So working for the divine works really well because they're very accepting and allowing and supportive. So that's what I've evolved into, and part of it is I call it meta therapy. I feel it's a space beyond therapy that really helps people find their voices, their truth. All the work I do wants to be collaborative because I feel empowering people is more important than what I know how to do for them or with them. And so I've just been a student of every kind of healing for 50 years. And I took a class this year, and I continue to learn and just bring it all into both the therapy and the channeling work. So they're very deeply healing. Just my greatest joy to watch somebody transform.
Yeah, no, I mean, empowering others is so, so important. That we do that. And Susan says, I haven't been here in a while, and tonight I got the notification on time, and I can see why I was alerted. Hi, Evalena. As obviously you
Um,
say, Susan is our empath coach, and Graham is here. Hi, Rae and Evalena. Hugs. And weather pending, I'll stay as long as possible. Typical Floridian weather, lol. They've got storms coming. They've always seemed to have storms in Florida, but um,
mhm.
there you go. So, how did you get into into this work? Were you an empath, and that's how it came about, or
Yes, I have had to learn so many ways myself to deal with a sensitivity that I had always, but I also think in part it's because of the trauma that was happening that I learned to kind of watch everyone and see what was going on so I could find a way to be safe. And so that I think is one of the ways empaths evolve. And to to do therapy, I needed to learn how to let people leave when they left, and how to retrieve my energy from them. And I've over the years evolved more and more skills. I had a lover that when we would leave after a weekend together, all we could do was write poetry. We were so merged. And so we learned to unmerge at the end of every weekend, give each other our energies back. And finding that the more that you do that, the more sovereign you become. And so it made my work easier. So I'd learn something more and something else. Yeah.
yeah, that's really interesting because people, I don't think people kind of like realize that when they're in relationships, they kind of like go full in, it's immersed, it's like, everything together without realizing that you do need to have that little bit of separatism.
So yeah, be able to separate. I have a little hand dance around that. So if this is you and this is the other person, it's really nice to merge, and it can get really nice. I mean, we love it.
Yep.
Merging is great, and you want to enjoy it. And then there comes a time to unmerge. And if you don't have yourself, it's really hard to unmerge. And so then you have to fight to get back. You
I
have to
like
create a
that.
drift. Yeah. And so I wanted to evolve ways that you could just, oh, thank you. That's fabulous. I love you. I bless you. And I take all my energy with me. I think our loves still live in our hearts. And so, in a way, we take our loves with us, but we don't need to have our energy fields mingled because then you walk away and you have less and less of yourself. And I also learned that in teaching workshops. If I didn't do an unmerging at the end of a workshop, I'd be so exhausted. And people would have cords in my back of my heart, especially, different cords, just wanting to know what I know, wanting my love. And so I learned at the end of workshops to do an unmerging. And now I come away energized because I take me back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. If I'm doing an angelic reiki on somebody, when I disconnect energetically from them and from the angel that's been doing the
Uh-huh.
healing, so that they can go on and do what they need to do, but also I can go on and not
Mhm.
be connected to them anymore with
Mhm.
what's going on in their life, and that is really, really an important thing to do. But
Mhm.
because obviously there are a lot of people that are empaths out there, and you hear a lot about it these days, especially now as more and more people are actually waking up spiritually, and they're finding that, oh, actually, I'm getting a lot more triggered by people, and I'm picking up on their energy and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So so what practical things can people do?
Mhm. Well, one of them is unmerging and just going through the chakras and lovingly, I give your energy back, I take mine back, breathing into your center. I had a therapist who said to me when I was working through my incest stuff, I think you need to realize for the rest of your life, you'll need to ground 6 times a day. And it's about right. I need to keep bringing myself into my body because what I learned as a trauma response was how to leave my body or how to distract, but all the powers being in your center. And so really learning to come in. And I also find that's where we're the safest. You know, if you're not in your body, it's available for sublet. So you want to be in, you want to really allow yourself to live in your core. So I've developed a lot of meditations that do that. What is happening?
Oh, everything all right there?
Yeah, everything went black in my screen for a moment.
Ah, see, it's the energy. The energies are working with us.
They are. So we'd like a little more collaboration with the divine on these energies, please.
Yes, we most definitely do uh, do want that to come in. So you talked about trauma. So how does that work?
My sense is that when there's a lot of trauma in a person's childhood, they they have to develop coping mechanisms to deal with what's inexplicable. They can't figure anybody out. Maybe there's not really an adult on duty. And I love what Maureen St. Germain says when you're young enough to still be magical, still be connected to the divine, you create these little positive personal entities that handle one handles the fear and one handles the anger and one handles the showing up at the breakfast table with a smile on your face because that's required no matter what happened, you know. And so there are these the parts that work for us, but when you're adult they still are trying to do those jobs. And so part of healing from trauma is getting in touch with the inner selves, the children selves that are doing these jobs and helping them come into current time and helping them realize now you've got an adult taking care of you so you can let go of those jobs. And I think that's a big part of healing trauma because as long as they're in the jobs, they're going to be going into other people's fields and taking on energy. And when they realize that's no longer necessary and the adult can handle energy by working with your light, working with imagery, then those old ways relax and the trauma has less effect. In
Okay.
some ways it's always there, but it's not running the show anymore.
Yeah. No, that's really kind of like good advice. And Graham says, "Glad you're a student, Evalena. I'm a lifelong student also."
Perfect.
And Susan says, "Yeah, she agrees. If you're not in your body, it's available for sublet 100%. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm always telling people: ground, be present in the here and now.
Exactly.
Um, go and eat some potatoes or bread or something. Just bring yourself down. If you can't get outside, um, in the air. So we were talking around. So I mentioned earlier that a lot of people now are waking up and they find that they're being, that they're a lot more realizing they're a lot more empathic with people. So,
Mhm.
so with the work you've always done, do you think that everyone is born empathic, or that it's just result from trauma, or it could be a mixture of both, or it's just where the energy starts changing, people's energy starts changing, and they notice things?
Yeah. I needed to put on a fan. It was a little hot here. I believe both that many people are born more open in their emotional body and more sensitive. And often they're in a family where other people aren't doing their emotions, and sometimes they do emotions for everyone. And it becomes almost like part of the identity of you're the sensitive one, or that they're doing the feelings and other people get to not have feelings. And so it's often made to be something not right about you when it's actually a beautiful talent, beautiful skill once you learn how to work with it. And it ought to be taught in kindergarten. you know it's that elemental. And um, and I think when people have had that role in the family, then as empaths they experience merging with people's emotions a lot, but they almost feel like that's what they're supposed to do. And then as you wake up and more people are going, oh, wait a minute, I get to have my own emotions, I get to have my own field, I get to live from in here. And then it's really valuable to have these skills. And part of it is coming in, and anything you feel, ask, is this mine? Is this my feeling? And if you don't get a yes, and often there's like an expansion in the heart to a yes and a contraction to a no. So if it's like yes, well, then you breathe in and feel it. If it's a no, then you ask to have it released. And I work a lot with angels and I work with Kali to clear what's not mine. And is this my sensation? I've had times where I've gone into um, a class or something. I sit down to a person feeling great, and all of a sudden I've got a headache. And I've said to the person next to me, "Would you happen to have a headache?" "Oh yeah, right here." So then I go, "Okay, I'm going to offer this up," you know, because even though we can feel all this, it's not ours to heal. So I got a wonderful line about this from Kuan Yin in a meditation where you were to let her take your place in a difficult situation and then give you advice. And the advice was touch the pain, be the love. Touch the pain, be the love. And so the fact we can feel it gives us information, but then you really ground and come in and focus on being love, so you're not taking it in, you're not interacting with the pain, you're allowing love to radiate to the pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I also say to people, you know how people will say, my heart goes out to you? I'll say, no, 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 no. Keep your heart here.
Yeah.
Stay in your heart and let the love flow out through you. Let the universal love flow out through you. It's way less effort. And I think that's what happens as you learn these skills, is life is less effort. You put the effort into sovereignty.
Yeah. Yeah. And people forget how powerful words are, and when you say, my heart goes out to you, you're literally saying, yeah, there you go, take my heart.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, that's good advice. And the Reiki angel says good evening, and she also says always learning how to handle family energies.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, and funny enough, she's just had a conversation about looking after your heart. So no coincidences here. Always for the main reason for that. And Susan agrees. So beautiful. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely a valuable tip there. So if you're an empath, what kind of like are three relationship skills that really an empath should know, or somebody who's suddenly realizing that they're connecting and they're being affected by other people's energy?
I think one is come to love your sensitivity. Come to see it as a value that you bring to relationship, and it's worth getting your voice around it. It's worth taking care of yourself around it. and ask for it to be respected because it can be a tool for transformation. And I think part of that is living life from your core, to really learn how to live in your core, which becomes magnetic and brings all of you in, and and to surround yourself with a field of bright light, creating a sovereign field. I'll say to the angels sometimes, would you fill the 4-inch layer of my arc field with angel light, please? And of course they do. They always are yes. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the third is to get your voice, speak your desires, set your boundaries, find a way to have a really clear yes and a really clear no, and work on a belief system that you'll be heard when you're clear.
Beautiful, beautiful advice. And Delancia says, hi, Delancia. And the Reiki Angel says, so on point, love the universe. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely um, on that. So, kind of like, they're kind of like the skills you would need, you know. What sort of um, what sort of skills really should an empath have to thrive? Obviously, you've just given some, but are there any specific things that they can use? Everyday life. If they walk into a supermarket and suddenly it's like, oh my god, I'm feeling um, suddenly, I've got him really happy, and suddenly I'm like, oh my god, I'm so down, so angry.
Uh-huh. So to take time to tune inside, one tool I love is to ask the angels, or Goddess Aphrodite loves being asked, to wash you through with a crystal and a waterfall of light. And you just call in this, in fact, why don't everyone do it right now? Call in a crystalline waterfall of sparkling iridescent light to wash through you and all around you, to wash away all that is not you. And adding breath. So you're breathing in deeply, taking in the light and letting go. The long out breath will rebalance your nervous system. So breathing in and focusing on your center. And if it feels like this is an energy that's not yours, ask for help. There's so many guides and angels that are out there just waiting to be asked. They love it. You don't even need to know what it is. Just, whoa, will you lift this heavy energy? Clear this from me. I offer it up. I surrender. I also have one thing I love, which is I'll ask 3 angels to stand in my path, and they'll be like 6 feet apart. And I walk through the angel wings, and it just clears me, clears my energy. I love that. And then I go through the next and the next. And
Yeah, and that's the thing. So many people tend to forget about how much the angels, can help us in everyday life. We just have to ask
yeah,
for their help, and they're there, and they want to help us. Yeah, yeah, it's something that people don't tend to forget, and it's one of the best tools that we've got for everything that goes on.
that's right. That's right. And guides as well. What they say is eternity is a long time. It's really fun if a human allows us to be of support of something in your life. And it's not like they think anything needs to change. There's absolute acceptance. Nothing, everything's fine. And if you want it to change, then that's fun to just kind of see how that can happen. I have a sense of the guides taking a prayer here and a prayer here and going, how do we connect these? Ooh, oh, almost there. Oh, there.
Oh, I love it. I love
Yeah,
it. And the Reiki angel says, I have them on call to help love. She loves angelic assistants, so she's got the picture with the angel wings
right there.
behind her on there, which is absolutely brilliant. So, how can, as an empath, can we actually have sovereignty? With it, obviously grounding and calling in the angels, and guides to help. But is there anything else,
Yeah.
that we can develop so we've got that sovereignty?
There's so many things that we have a class of 6 90-minute classes on this, which is part of the offer we'll talk about. There's so many skills. And a lot of it is about really finding now, getting in your core, getting in now. Um, Sovereignty, I think of it more than defending yourself, like people who say, I want a better shield. Well, you're in a fight then. I want sovereignty. So I want to be in my core, then asking the angels, which I ask a lot, to nestle all my subtle bodies around me. Because that is meant to be our protective field, our sovereign field. And the more that we energize that, the less we are subject to taking on other energy. That's one piece of it. The other is this piece about be the love that I think when we try too hard is when we go out, what's happening over there? And we get really curious. Sometimes my guides will say, Evalena, please bring yourself out of this healing. We've got this. And it's like I totally trust that spirit can handle it. But then there I am again. And that's when it enters me, is when I'm less than fully trusting that the light and the love is enough. I had someone say after I worked really hard at teaching this workshop Saturday that he said, and part of it we couldn't do because something else came up. And he said, I just need you to know that it's who you've become that's the teaching, that it's how you live in your light and all the years it's taken you to get here. That's the teaching. And that's also the that sovereignty of acknowledging I guess Creatrix knew what it was doing. I already am everything I need to be. Now I want to be who I am. And the more you do that, the more you build sovereignty. And I also feel the parts work or soul retrieval is really important. So I was doing a channeling with a woman I'd worked with for like 35 years, doing incest work and therapy, and then channeled business guidance and all kinds of work with her. And one day she said to the guide, it's not fair. We spend our whole childhood in this awful abuse, and then we have to spend our adulthood getting over it. There's got to be a better way. And the guide said, we'll take it under advisement. And within 2 weeks, we were doing something that hadn't been done before because they're growing too. I think all of God is expanding. That's what God loves to do. It's being is infinitely curious. Within 2 weeks, we were doing this form of soul retrieval of going into a scene that someone has in their past that just doesn't get resolved. Maybe they worked on it a lot. So if it doesn't get resolved, there's a part of the soul, there's a soul fragment caught in time back there. And for that part, the clock has stopped ticking. When we say we're triggered, it's 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 really that part is triggered, and often the adult part dissociates. So first of all, we have to learn to stay present, But in a way, that part took the abuse, so the essence nature could be protected. So I think dissociation is actually clearing the essence nature out of the way of the trauma. And that's the part that grows up and gets spiritual and does all this work. Then we want to take time to go back and rescue the parts that took care of us. And so the soul retrieval takes 5 or 7 minutes. And the adult gets very, very grounded and then invites Divine Mother. And the adult and Divine Mother step into the scene, go to the child, love them up, let them know they're precious, let them know I've come to take care of you. I'm the adult you've grown up into. And would you like to come live with me in my heart? And they almost always say yes. Sometimes a little work with them, they say yes, or at least they'll try it. They never go back. And then Divine Mother brings the child and the adult all the way through space and time, all the way through space and time into today. It would be July 10th, 2023, into the heart. The angels make the perfect room in the heart for them, kind of bed they want and playthings, whatever they need, and a big rocking seat for Divine Mother. And then we invite the adult and the child to sit in her lap. Breathe in the love and breathe out all the pain and hurt and whatever there was in that scene. So now the trauma is back there and the soul essence is here and the clock is moving again and they can be healed from the love. It's pretty amazing how it clears trauma pretty quickly.
Yeah, it sounds so amazing. And Susan actually says, "Who you are is the teaching." Another great one and a good reminder.
Yeah.
And it is, I think, especially for those of us that do this kind of work, we do need reminders every now and again because we're so busy being of service and helping other people that sometimes we forget these little things ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Self-care has to be a big, important thing for empaths. I might spend 2 hours in the morning in a sauna or hot tub or um, meditating and just self-care because it's so important that we're really resident here. We can't just jump out of bed and go jump into helping people and in the day vitalized. And when I really do self-care, maybe lay in the porch swing for a little while in the afternoon and really add that to my day, then I finish the day feeling pretty good. Still got me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another tool that needs to get high on people's list.
Beautiful, beautiful. And anyone who's watching, if you've got any questions that you want to ask Evelina, this is your chance. You've got her in this little box that she can answer any questions that you might have. So, whilst waiting to see if anyone does have any questions, I know you channel the Council of 12. So, tell us a little bit about them, and then maybe they might want to come and give some words, advice, some wisdom, something for us.
I think they'd love to. So the Council of 12 is one of the ancient councils of what's been called the White Brotherhood of Light. I prefer calling it the Rainbow Family of Light. So they're ascended masters and goddesses that have worked with this planet since its inception. And it's a rotating group of beings. So there's some that are always with me and others that will come depending on what question people have. And so many different beings are a part of it. And most of the time, they're channeling through Babaji, who's channeling through me, or I'm channeling him through, something like that. So, and they're very practical. So they love to collaborate with people. Some people say it's like having your own spiritual board of advisors. These wise beings come and sit and collaborate with you about your life because they don't want to make decisions for people or tell anyone what to do. It's more what happens in that collaboration that empowers the person. And then the decision's really theirs, and then we're willing to implement it and live from it. And so I do readings with people probably every continent now and many, many states, a lot on Zoom and some locally. And it is my greatest passion. I learn so much. In a way, I step out of the way, but it's like my small self rests in my heart. And then on a good day, I'm expanding into my multidimensional self, and the guidance is coming from there. And they say I sit on the council, so I feel like it's from a high level of our beings that this work comes through. On not such good days, I say, you guys got to channel me today because I don't know. And they're pretty good.
It works both ways, give and take, give and take.
That's right. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so before we ask, see if they've got anything to say, we've got a couple of questions come through. So
Okay.
Lisa says, how do I start healing the childhood trauma when I'm feeling so stuck?
Well, asking the question begins. So then it's being being really kind to yourself. I think it's really valuable to, look at all the trauma responses as all those responses started as a positive coping mechanism. And so rather than beat yourself up, like, why do I do that? Or why can't I get on top of that? Go, what part of me still thinks it needs to do that? And what do you need? And we start working with the parts of us that are still in a trauma response as children that learned to do the best they could in a situation with no guidance. And when we bring love to whatever's happening, it begins to heal it. Sometimes sometimes you connect with a child within or a part of you and you try to bring them too fast. You want to meet them where they are. I had one part that was just inconsolable. And no matter what I did, I didn't feel like she could receive anything from me. So I just went in and sat down with her. For 2 weeks, anytime I wasn't working, I just went in and sat with her. Didn't take my light, just got really quiet, just said, I'm here. And after a week, Christ came in and sat with us. Didn't bring his light, just said, I'm here. And after a couple weeks, that part started interacting and then started being able to open to the love. So Karen Drucker has a song, I can only go as fast as the slowest part of me is free to go. And so part of it is we're helping to free up those parts that are caught in the trauma. And instead of I'm stuck in the trauma, what parts of me are stuck in the trauma and what do they need? So over time, you're building a stronger core ego that can help the child cells, an essence nature. Some call it inner self helper that can be here to bring love to the parts that are still coming out of the trauma. And I think of it less than I'm in trauma or I'm out as I'm pulling parts of me out of the muck and the mire of the past. I even had one soul retrieval from someone who had a horrible childhood, and the angels would clear the part as it was coming through. And so it would be like they'd be pulling the past off the part as it was coming through space and time. So, and the rest is patience. If you keep loving and inviting these parts to come into current time, to be loved by you, they will.
Beautiful. And Lisa says, thank you. This really resonates.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. And thank you for asking the question, Lisa, because there's probably others who've got the same sort of a question that they weren't sure how to ask. So thank you so much for
Mhm.
asking that. And the Reiki angel says, so how do we know if an energy is not really ours? Life gets complicated and it's tricky to see the wood for the trees sometimes.
Certainly is. That's true. I think part of it is there's just a uncomfortable feeling or a hunch, and you follow it. And if you give it away, like any energy that doesn't feel like mine, I'll often give it to Goddess Kali because she cleared it really fast. If it doesn't go, then maybe it's yours. But if it goes, you don't have to deal with it. Um, and to question it, to ask an energy, what do you want of me? And if it doesn't seem positive, ask it to leave. I think that one of the things about empaths, we've had to learn how to how to bring in our light, how to be our light, because that's salvation. To just keep calling on something higher, and other energies can then be attracted to that and want to have that. So so what I know is all the realms of light are willing to help us with that. So if I have any suspicion an energy is not mine, I call for help. And either it gets illuminated of what I need to see with that energy or it gets lifted out. But I don't fight with the energies. That's what I used to do, was try so hard to make them go. But what I find with the guides and angels is they want to find a place for the energy to go where they're happy. So you don't have to keep getting rid of them. If it's a person's energy, then it's taking it back to them. But if it's an entity or something else, lost soul, I want spirit to take it where it needs to be so that its needs are met and it doesn't need me.
Yeah.
Transmute it rather than just get rid of it.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant word, and Ray Cage says that's great advice for me right now. But I'm glad that made sense. And it is all about transmuting it, and even if it's energy from somebody else that's coming to you, when you actually send the love to that, and it goes back to that person, you're not sort of like giving that back to them. You're giving them the chance to love and heal that part of their that energy themselves.
Exactly. And when you return the energy, that's that helps them be more whole. Shakti Gawain once was having everyone in a room, like 50 people, put her in a bubble of light and burn it, which is another way of clearing energy. You put the person in, like, yes, the angels make a big bubble of light or a big rose, and you put the person in it, put all the affairs between you and them in it, put all of their opinions of you and all their advice of you, everything in it, send it out over the ocean, blow it up or burn it. And someone said, "Didn't that hurt you?" And she said, "No, I just got a nice rush of my own energy back. Thank you." So it really helps everyone to be sovereign. And I find also the more that I become sovereign in my sessions, the better they are because I'm not trying to make anything happen. I'm just being there, loving what is, and that makes me a better vessel for spirit and the light and truth to work through me. So the less I give of me, the more people get.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. When you
Mhm.
put it like that, makes so much sense. So, have the Council of 12 got any blessings or any words of wisdom they want to give everyone who's either watching this live or the replay?
Okay. Let me take a moment. I always create a field of light around me and invoke God, Goddess, that only beings of radiant light may speak through me. Greetings, dear ones. We're very pleased to speak with you. It's an honor. We know that the empaths of the world are the ones who bring the greatest healing, the greatest sensitivities. You're more likely than most others to be able to channel great love and light into the world once you gain your sovereignty, once you realize that What others might call selfish is the way you want to be, that you hold your energy to yourself. You hold yourself in high esteem as a child of the divine. And part of that is, well, I guess then I must have been made the way I'm meant to be. And so you come into a deep acceptance of yourself. When you're a yes to who you are, it's so much easier to stay being you. And the more that you're being you, the more you're sovereign in your field. So, what your life wants is for you to be poured right into the middle of it again and again, all through the day, to keep coming back to yourself. At the end of workshops, we invite people to pour their essence right down their core. And you think, well, why am I not in my body? Well, for many reasons. This earth and these societies create a lot of ways to make you not want to be in your body. And the past trauma responses often include a lot of leaving the body. So let go of why am I not and just go, how do I arrive? How do I keep arriving? Keep calling yourself to yourself. Somewhere in your soul's plan is everything you need to know. And when you open your heart to yourself, then you can let yourself be guided by your heart. And it always takes you right to the heart of your true path. And that's where all the resources are placed, is at the heart of your true path. So it's coming to trust yourself, coming to trust your guidance from guides, but also your guidance from within, your own wisdom and the wisdom of your soul. And then you'll start realizing, whoa, when I trust, I already know what to do. And I already am what I want to be. When you let go of all that effort, that's where a lot of the merging with other people goes away. Because you don't need to. You trust that how I'm showing up and what I'm offering is enough. So deeply bless yourself and bless your empathic capabilities. Bless your sensitivities. And if you're still troubled by them, then talk to your guides in your soul and say, I need support here. Sometimes Evalena will say, Soul, you got me into this. Now show me what to do with it. So you call in that guidance from your soul, from your guides, from your angels. There's so many lessons you'll learn on the path to sovereignty that are all very important lessons. That's why your soul created this plan. And you allow yourself to see it more as a plan for growth. Earth is a schoolroom. It's a lesson plan in a way. Your whole your whole life and what you're healing. And when you see it that way, it takes the blame and shame out of it. And that's the glue that keeps you stuck. So when you offer up the blame and shame, there's a whole bunch of angels that love to take your shame. You offer up the blame and shame, then you're free to grow, free to evolve, free to transform. We bless you deeply. It's a joy to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Ah, thank you so, so much. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Um, and whilst you were doing that, I actually pulled an angel oracle card.
All
And
right.
the card that came out for you and everyone watching kind of like ties in with what they were talking about. And it's begin now. Take your first step.
Yes.
How beautiful is that, and so much confirmation. Take that first step, something new, something that your heart desires, that you really want. And now is the time to take that step forward and know that you are surrounded, protected, and loved. And you can call on all these beings of 100% pure light and love who will help you on that journey, on that path. And
Beautiful.
yeah,
And
I just love the way the cards come out.
absolutely. And the council was just speaking about the path of the heart, and there's your card with this path
Yeah,
leading right into the future.
exactly. You just can't make this up. The cards. and again, this is where the angels and the universe all work together with what my guests are talking about, because the cards always tie in exactly, beautifully with it. So thank you, angels. Thank you, universe. Thank you, guides. Thank you, the Cancer of 12.
Can
Um,
can I offer one more tool?
you most certainly can.
The power of ritual. So when we're shifting these patterns, these old patterns, we also want to enroll the subconscious in changing how it sets things up. And it doesn't hear anything we say to it. It's not listening. It's not a verbal thing. But ritual, drama, imagery, breath, that shifts the subconscious. So creating a ritual of, I claim my body for myself. Go walk in the woods and declare it to the trees. And a ritual of releasing these old patterns. You can stand on a bridge over a creek and have a bunch of stones and put a pattern in a stone and very intentionally release it into the water, and then turn upstream and call in the flow of everything you want to fill that space. So rituals like this really help to shift that subconscious, and it in a way it kind of pries loose the patterns. So rituals, doing a vision board, doing a soul collage, an enactment of the change that you want in some way really helps to make that change.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And the Reiki angel has said, love the vessel of light. That was what you were talking about earlier. And when you
Mhm.
did the channel, the Council of 12, Susan said, again, so beautiful. I'm touched by this trauma healing. All the parts of you may be a little slower. And Lisa says, amazing. And the Reiki angel says, thank you. And
Mm,
Lisa says, so grateful for this. I stumbled upon this. There are no coincidences.
that's right.
No, there are never ever any coincidences. So I hope, everyone, that you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So if people want to connect with you, Evalena, how do they do that? And then tell us about this offer you've got for our viewers.
Okay, great. So you can see my website, which is evalenarose.com. There's, you see the spelling there, evalenarose.com. And I'm on Facebook. I have a personal page, and I have the Alchemy of Love on Facebook. And I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. I have a lot of videos on YouTube, so enjoy. There's quite a few there and some on Facebook. I've just arrived at a place where I want to offer my legacy to the world. And so I've put it out as much as possible. You can also reach me by phone at 707-696-9944, or the email is evalena@evalenarose.com. And the offer is this series of classes. There are 6 that are called Living as an Empath in a Troubled World. I almost wanted to call it In an Insane World. And so it's a webinar that I've done, and we're offering it for 50% off. And it's only, I think, $50, so it makes it $25 for 9 hours of teachings about empath skills, with a lot of different imagery processes, ways to fill all your subtle bodies with light. So many more tools than we could get to today.
Wonderful. And what I'll do is, once the show's finished, I will put all the links to everything in the comments. So all you need to do is just go straight in, click on the link, and you'll go to any of those pages, the website, the offer. So if you haven't written it down, don't worry, you'll be able to come back to the comments, and do that. So that's fine. And the Reiki Angel says, so enjoyed connecting with you both tonight. Thank you, Lake Angel Jane, who I happen to know her name is Jane. Thank you so much, um, for for joining in. And Lisa says, "Wow, awesome! Thank you, Lisa, for asking your question. That was absolutely brilliant. And thank you, Susan, for joining in as well. And I know we lost Graham halfway through because the thunderstorms came in Florida. So, so he's things cut out. And thank you to everyone else who did watch this live but didn't have the courage to actually say hello or ask questions. But maybe on another show you'll have the courage to do that. So thank you so much, Evalena, for sharing your wisdom, and thank you to the Council of 12 for coming in with their wisdom as well. That was absolutely amazing, and truly grateful that they chose to come in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ah, you're welcome. So, of course, if you are now ready to remember your divine presence and step onto your spiritual, multidimensional path, but you feel lost, confused, stuck, or alone, then please feel free to reach out and connect with me. And we can see where you are now and how you can move forward to take charge of your destiny so you can spread your wings and soar. And of course, you can get a free future life progression that takes you into future lifetime by to gain insights you need to know, and some other free gifts if you want to sign up to my weekly newsletter. And again, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified of when this show goes live or I post new guided meditations. Because each subscription, each comment, each like really helps. And, do the same for Evalena's YouTube channel as well, because the more that people subscribe and comment and interact with our YouTube channels, the more our messages get out there to everyone. And Nancy says, "Thank you both," and
Mm.
Lisa says, I would love that. Yep, just get in contact, Lisa. That'll be absolutely lovely. And again, thank you, and look forward to seeing everyone next week. And thank you again so much, Evalena, for being on the show. It's been absolutely amazing, and maybe later in the year we can have you back, you and the Council of 12 back on again.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be great. Thank you so much. It's been a great show.
Oh, brilliant. And we've also had Gemma watching. Hi, Gemma. Um, and she said, "That's Coach Life." And Gemma is going to be a guest on my show next week. She was a guest a few weeks ago. And we didn't get to finish the conversation, so she's back on next week. So thank you, Gemma, for joining us. Yeah, she'll be on next week, and do check out her music. She's a brilliant singer, and spiritual music as well that she writes. Yes, so thank you, everyone, and I'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye.
Mm.